Fear and Hunger 2 Termina is the most fun, scary, and difficult horror game I've ever played. And I believe this fully. I believe it has fully mastered how to fuse difficulty and pure, unbridled terror into one holy creation. Before I tell you just why it is the best horror game ever, we have to look at the Now, there is a lot of lore in Fear and Hunger Termina, so this will just be a basic rundown of the lore. But if this video gets like 10 likes, then I'll make a full lore analysis of the game. Just please like, man. Without further ado, let's get into the lore. In Fear and Hunger 2 Termina, you are one of 14 contestants chosen for the Termina Festival, which is a festival created by the trickster moon god of the game, Rare. You spawn in on a train and are given one objective: kill all other contestants and survive until you're the last one left. Now that we have the very basic lore out of the way, we can move on to the Fear and Hunger Termina is your classic turn-based RPG, but there are plenty of things that make it different and set it apart from other ones in the genre. But just to start us out, I'll put you in the shoes of a new player to just try and show you how they would feel. You choose your character and you name them, and then you choose their traits, and you wake up on a train. You walk outside and you see a bunch of NPCs all gather around the train, so you talk to them, and everything seems fine for now. But eventually, the game lets you run off on your own. So you do. And you just explore, loot up, until you see another one of the NPCs that was at the train, walking along. And you decide you might as well follow him, because I mean, he was also at the train. He seems like he's a good NPC. So you follow him until you and him come across a gory scene. People nailed to the house, blood everywhere. And that's the first sense that you will get that something in this town is wrong. But the second sense that you'll truly get that something's off about this town is when you enter the main town. People are all around the town, but they seem off. They look like people, but their faces are weird. And for the most part, they seem to avoid you. So you explore the town, you find some abandoned homes, and you loot up. And you think everything seems fine until you see the Vial is the first true boss enemy most players will encounter in the game, and goodness gracious, is he horrifying and a force to be reckoned with. Because up to this point in the game, all the horror was pretty much atmospheric, but now you're shoved into a fight, and he is strong and he is menacing, especially with his pig mask on his head and his ability to kill you in 2 or 3 turns even if you have full health. Odds are this will be most of players' first death, but if you survive, you thank the Lord and you walk to the next part of town, hoping you can find some heals until what you just saw is an enemy called a death mask. Death masks are one of the scariest enemies in the entirety of the game, because you'll just be peacefully walking by and all of a sudden, boom, you're hit with the ultimate jump scare. And these things are strong. They can easily cut limbs off of your character. And oh yeah, by the way, damage this game has a limb loss mechanic. If you lose a limb and then save, it's just gone forever, and you can't do anything about it. And that limb is now useless. Like, you go slower if you lose a leg, and if you lose both legs, you're crawling at a snail's pace the entirety of the rest of the game, which just adds to the difficulty of the game, and also increases the fear factor you have when you encounter enemies, especially the death masks. But if you survive that, then you continue around town and you explore. And oh my, you found a bunker. Oh look, you gain a party member just by going in. Might as well keep exploring. Wait, is that laughter? What's over there? I hear like a sawing sound. Whoa, is that? This fun little fellow is Needles, another one of the scariest enemies in the entirety of the game. And what's so just fun about him is he will stalk you throughout the entirety of the game, watching you with his menacing laughter just around the corner. And there are a couple of times in the game where he will chase you down and you will have to run for your life. Also, all the while this is happening, you find evidence of his handiwork, as he kills a bunch of your fellow contestants, wearing their faces and maiming them as he pleases. Having enemies stalk you through the entirety of the game, or a game, isn't an original concept, but Fear and Hunger Termina handles it amazingly, because it makes you feel really afraid of him, and the difficulty just raises your fear of combat. But there's another factor that makes combat and the thought of exploring a dark area even scarier than it already is. And the factor that makes combat and exploration in this game so scary is one of my favorite things about Fear and Hunger Termina is the lack of saving, because it makes every encounter just that little bit scarier. In the game, you only have like 9 main saves, which may sound like a decent amount, but it really isn't. Because something I haven't mentioned up to this point is that there's a days system in the game. And the way that you mainly save in the game and upgrade your character is by sleeping, which progresses time in the game. But what happens during the days is only certain events will happen on certain days. So if you sleep too much, then you'll just completely miss out on lots of content. So throughout the game, you only save every 1 or 2 hours, usually. So when you're an hour and a half deep, and you have gotten so many good items, you start to get afraid of every little fight. Because if you die, you just lost so much progress and wasted so much time. And all of that just really adds to the fear factor of the game. Now, there are other ways to save, such as using a ritual circle or a special book, but good luck finding those, because they are few and far between. But there is another part of this game that I think makes it so scary. And that part of the game is the atmosphere of this game is sublime, and it is perfectly crafted with its background music and its ambience, along with always being able to hear the footfalls of your game, either in an eerie, quiet town or alone in the forest. The starting area of the game is a forest where there's not too many enemies, but it's ambient with a fog and not being able to see too far. And then you reach the town full of strange people and basements full of gore and rituals. Finally, when you reach the main city, you can see there's be hustle and bustle all around, and shops that now seem abandoned. But there are still beasts in the street, strange police-like creatures, and floating monsters that call you a heretic. And there's a gang of enemies in the town that can kill your entire team with ease. All of this is to say, the atmosphere of the game is amazingly crafted, and it really just adds to the scariness of the game. But I want to talk about one more thing in the game that I believe makes it really scary. And that thing in the game is moon scorching is a phenomenon in the game which is really interesting and horrifying, because it's what will happen to other contestants throughout the days of the game, and what will happen to your character if you don't beat the game by the end of day 3. Moon scorching is when the trickster moon god of the game, Rare, turns people into what he believes they really are, which most of the time is horrifying monsters. And it also adds to the scare factor because you'll be just randomly attacked by these insanely strong monsters, and you're in constant fear that if you save too much, you become one. So you need to keep an eye on your saves. But now, let's move on to the final section of the video. In conclusion, Fear and Hunger Termina is a masterclass in horror and difficulty because of the enemies, which are horrifying, and the saving system, which makes dying scary and adding to your fear of enemies and dark corners that you just can barely not see around, and also the threat of the moon scorch and being moon scorched yourself. All in all, Fear and Hunger Termina is an amazing game that has mastered difficulty and horror. Thank you for watching. Please give a little cheeky like and a little cheeky subscribe, and let's move to the outro song. Hey everybody, this is my outro song. I hope that you do sing along. I'm the Moth Maker, and I make content. Please give me money. I need money. Please subscribe. I don't have a dime. I have really, really bad rhymes. Please subscribe. This is the outro song. The outro song. The outro song. This is the Moth Maker outro song. Please subscribe. I don't have a dime. If you give me a little bit of your time, maybe subscribe and give me a dime. A dime, a dime, a dime, a rhyme. I got bars from Mars. Girls go to Jupiter to get more stupider. Boys go to Mars to get more bars. That's what I'm saying. My name's not Lars. My name is Mothmaker, and I take time to make these videos, and I spit bars, rhymes, and hymes, and lots of things. So please subscribe and have a good time. Bye.